Okay, y'all, so if you follow my channel, you kind of know that I don't really do a lot of two-cycle equipment. I've done, if you look, I guess back within the past 2 years, I've done one chainsaw total, and that's pretty much all that I've fixed two-cycle wise. This is an Echo, still got the old gray body on it, but the SRM230 weed eater. This was actually given to me by a neighbor who was moving out, or a neighbor of somebody that I know that was moving out. Gave me a lawnmower, actually this push mower right here, as well as a few other items that I am in the process of trying to sell. This is kind of the last thing I need to fix. And this is a very minor, couple very minor things I at least wanted to show on a video, just because I haven't really, one, had time to do a lot of videos, and two, I don't really do a lot of two-cycle stuff, so here it goes. This one runs. Had no trouble with that. He told me it was leaking gas, and so what I did back here is all the gas lines look good and all that, so I actually primed it, and I found that it was leaking right up here at the primer bulb. The primer bulb was already taken off because it actually disintegrated whenever I tried to prime it again. I don't know if he used this very much. It was light residential use. You can see some use, some dirt, some grime, but weed eater still runs great. So it's a good Echo product. As a quick aside, I had a Troy built 4-cycle weed eater that I cleaned the carburetor out on it. Probably just needed a diaphragm. I gave it to my dad just to kind of, for him to fiddle around with, because he needed a new weed eater. So I just let him, if he wants to put a carburetor on it, great. If he doesn't, I just told him to chuck it in the garbage, because those things run sometimes and sometimes they don't, especially just with cheap two-cycle stuff. But this right here runs great. I'm going to show you how to put a primer bulb on it, and also it had, this is a new head. I'm going to show you how to put a new head on it. Really easy stuff. But the guy had put one of these kind of feed as you go type heads on it, and I guess what ended up happening was, as you can see right here, the edges of the triangle, it's kind of like the fitting where you screw it on, kind of were plastic, and so they wallowed out after some use, and so you turn it on, it'd run good, but whenever you got it into the higher RPMs, it would vibrate the mess out of your hands. So I figured no need to sell a very nice weed eater with a very cheap head. So this right here was $13 online off eBay. You can get them for cheaper if you want to wait a month and get them shipped on a cargo ship from China, but there's some American distributors. Pay a couple dollars more. And then like I usually do, I buy in bulk. Got 15 primer bulbs for $8. Probably will never use all 15, but if you know, one of those primer bulbs, if you go to the store, is about $4, so figured it was a good deal. So let me cut the bag open. Actually, what we can do, this is really easy here. This head actually came, there's a screw inside that I guess automatically tightens as you tighten it onto the head here. So of course the threads are too small, so we're going to experiment a little bit with this to see if we can get it so that it will work on this weed eater. So I thought I had made a mistake and bought the wrong head, but I'm like, no, there's no way. But what it was that if you have one of these heads on there, I guess this head in particular had an adapter on it to go from a larger to a smaller thread, as well as a spacer since the head is thinner. So I just took some vice grips, clamped down on the top of the head here where it attaches to the shaft. Pair of adjustable pliers. Took the shroud off here as well, but that was 2 screws. There's 2 screws right there. I think there could be a 3rd screw back there, but this one does not have it. And so now I have that off, which is good. And now I can put this head on, but what I'm going to do first is put the shroud back on, because this head sits higher and it will not allow me to screw the screws in the shaft again if I do that. So that is a very easy task to do. I'm going to do that, and all it does is, I can show you all real quick before I just save a little bit of time. I'm trying to make this video quick here, and it just came off of the spline, which is no biggie, because the head will butt up against it. So let me actually see if I can get the camera right here. I'll put it on while y'all are on camera. How about that? It's also a nice little storm going outside now, and thankfully with my new house here, I have a garage to work in as opposed to just sitting working in the yard like I used to. If you go back and see my previous videos. Real quick, I just want to thank everybody. I'm getting very close to 1,000 subscribers, which is really, really cool. So, if you check out a couple videos and like what I'm doing, don't be afraid to give me a like on the page. Feel free to give me some feedback and stuff like that. It's always welcome. I learn from y'all just as much as hopefully y'all learn from me. I've got a detached garage, so this is kind of my way of not procrastinating because I need to get it done, but kind of way of killing time until the rain ends. So, okay, so those screws are back in. Now let's screw the head on, and we're going to see if this is a reverse thread. I don't think that it is. Maybe this. Hold on a second. Yes. So this is a reverse thread because it spins that way. So you want it to thread that way. I absolutely love these heads though. They are awesome. There's really no way to tighten them up other than running them, I guess. What we can do, I'm going to take that back actually, and that's just 2 tabs that come off there. I'm actually going to take the head here off. It looks like a couple of these spacers here want to try and come off as well. That's not a big deal. I can put those right back. And what that's going to do I'll show you the inner workings. I don't know if we can do much with them, but it's going to expose this screw or nut here, and I think, and again it's going to spin this way. So let me do a little problem solving, then we'll figure out exactly how to put it on, because I don't want to run this thing and then the whole head come flying off of it. Like I said, let me do a little research here and see what I can find. Okay, so after trial and error, I figured it out. I knew it just didn't make sense because it's a left thread, but the head actually spins to the right. So I didn't know exactly how it worked. But I have a great example in my actual personal weed eater here. I checked, there's actually a groove, because you can see it a little bit better here. See that little hole right there? Let me get it right there. It's like a little hole slash groove. Let me see if I can get it up here in the light. It's right there. I couldn't really figure out how to tighten this up. There's actually that hole is obviously it's the same shaft and everything. On this mower, there's actually a little access portal right here. And all I had to do was find the hole, find a screwdriver here. And remember, it's a left tighten. And I just had to, I've already got it tight now, but that kind of binds it up. So I tightened the head up, and that seems to be good. So if the head does not fly off whenever I test this thing, we know that's how to put it on. I'm sure there's plenty of videos, I just haven't taken the time to watch them. So if I'm doing something incorrect, it'll show up on the video, or feel free to comment, give me feedback. Next thing we're going to do is put on the primer bulb. Very easy process. There are, if I can get a few things out of the way here. On the back here, there are 4 screws, which are right there. Right there where the primer bulb is, you see those 4 screws kind of in a square type pattern. We're going to take those screws off. I'm going to put y'all right here. We'll just go ahead and replace this on camera too. I apologize if the video is getting a little lengthy, but kind of want to show y'all how to repair this. I'm going to get a flat head. These little cheap screws get rounded off very easily with the Phillips. So let's take the flat head, take these 4 off. And I could edit, I sometimes do edit my little thought processes and stuff like that out. But other times I like to keep them in because they're probably similar thought processes that you're going through whenever you're working on stuff, especially if you don't do this for, well, I don't do it for a living, but I do it on the side, and I see a lot. And just take these 4 screws out here. And they all kind of go through the same process. Now I will warn y'all, there are 2 types of carburetors that you're going to see kind of mainstream on most 2-cycle engines. One of them's a Marlboro carburetor, I think that's how you say it. The other's a Zama carburetor. I believe this is a Marlboro. If that's the case, really the only big difference in terms of primer bulbs that you need to know is that the Marlboro carburetor, or one of them, has bigger primer bulbs than the other. So one of them has a big primer bulb, one of them has a small primer bulb. And now I don't know off the top of my head, but if somebody wants to specify what has what then y'all, by all means, please do. Because I just remember whatever the Troy built 4-cycle weed eater had on it, this does not, because the primer bulbs are 2 different sizes. If there's any information that I am forgetting about, feel free to let me know that as well. So here we go with the final screw. Obviously you can see it's a little bit more difficult to get off because I don't want to take off the little plastic cover there for the air filter, because you don't necessarily have to, but alright, so we got this off now. The old primer bulb ended up just rotting out, so I've got new primer bulbs here. And I'll show you how they fit in, and then I'll just put the screws back in off camera, since I kind of showed y'all how to take them off on camera. So again, bigger primer bulb is what the Echoes take, the bigger, larger of the two. Very easy, they just go in like that. So I'm going to screw this back on. We're going to run this and see if we've got a good weed eater here. I think we're going to be in good shape. So here is the primer bulb back on. So here we are priming it up. Seems like it's working pretty well. Let's see if we start this thing up here. Let y'all hear it run. As y'all could hear, at least. I think I had it picked up enough on the camera. Running great. Head is on there plenty tight, which is the one thing I was worried about. So I'll get this back together. Again, a new head, I got this for free. A new head and those primer bulbs were around $20 roughly. Hoping I can get 100 out of it. I'll be very happy if I get 80 out of it. So like I said, I kind of like these little weed eaters. They're people ask me a lot of times, they're like, hey, you have any weed eaters for sale? I'm usually like, no, because I usually don't mess with 2-cycle stuff. Now the exceptions are obviously Echo, Steel. I'll do the higher end stuff. At least if I ever get those in, which I never do. This is like the second 2-cycle item that I've ever gotten in. I work on them, but if it's just like the Poland, Troy built, Murray, those throwaway weed eaters, I usually don't even worry with. But I appreciate y'all watching. Hopefully y'all got a little bit of insight as to kind of my thought processes, and hopefully y'all learned a little bit with just kind of the way that I went about fixing this. Hopefully answered any questions you might have, and hopefully it was informative for y'all. I've got another video coming pretty shortly. I'm going to test out the Black & Decker 20-volt weed eater blowers. I'm going to test the battery life on them to see how long they last. I've told people 15 minutes or so. We're going to see in a video coming up next. It'll be the next one I post. But in the meantime, hopefully y'all enjoy this nice little Echo SRM230 weed eater, and I know that somebody else will as well, whoever that person is that buys it from me. Thank y'all for watching. Catch you on the next one.